The Appalachian Mountain region of the United States has seen its fair share of unique steam locomotives, anything from a Shea, Heisler, or a Climax. Also tucked away in the mountains were conventional locomotives on big and small railroads. One such smaller line was the Buffalo Creek and Gauley of Clay County, West Virginia. Chartered on April 1, 1904, the line ran 18 miles east to west. Starting at Dundon, the line traveled east following Buffalo Creek to reach a dairy at Crestmont, then an Elk River Coal and Lumber Company sawmill at Swandale, and lastly a coal mine at Wyden. Trains would return back to Dundon where an interchange with the Baltimore and Ohio Railroad resided. Motive power on the BC&G consisted of primarily second-hand B&O engines ranging from an 060 to 282s. Only one out of 16 steam locomotives the railroad rostered was brand new, and that was 280 Consolidation No. 4. The story goes, railroad owner Joseph Gardner Bradley, also known as J.G. Bradley, visited the Baldwin Locomotive Works in September 1926. While there, a Consolidation No. 200 for the National Railway of Mexico had been built. Bradley made a deal with Baldwin to sell the locomotive to the BC&G, and thus, the locomotive found itself in the Appalachian coal fields. When it arrived, it was converted to burn coal instead of oil and renumbered to 4. Later on, the headlight was relocated to the center of the smokebox, and an air tank was placed beneath the smokebox. No. 4 was tasked with the usual coal and timber hauling jobs between Dundon and Wyden. Throughout the 1950s and 60s, Wyden's rich-run mine saw between 60 and 80 coal hoppers exchange through the facility each day. 1 million tons of bituminous coal was produced each year from the mine by 1960. However, by 1958, as diesel locomotives were taking over on other railroads, the all-steam Buffalo Creek and Gauley was operating at a loss. J.G. Bradley was also 77 years old at the time and was dealing with failing health. Without consulting Bradley, the BC&G's board of directors sold their Elk River Coal and Lumber properties to the Clinchfield Coal Company for $5 million. The company's stores at Dundon and Swandale, the Crestmont Dairy, and the Wyden Bank were all soon closed. Railfans had begun visiting the BC&G as it was one of the few all-steam railroads, excluding a Plymouth switcher, left in the US at the time. Thus, in the summer of 1963, a railfan trip was hosted. While the railroad welcomed visitors warmly, it was only a matter of time until the coal mine shut down. The last mine run was made from the Rich Run mine at Wyden on December 30th, 1963. The BC&G was left with hauling timber out of Swandale 3 days a week until February 27, 1965, when locomotive No. 4 made the last run. This time, it was the last run of the Buffalo Creek and Gauley altogether. No. 4 would be stored until 1967 when it was purchased by the Pennsylvania-based Quakertown and Eastern Railroad for excursion service. Meanwhile, the BC&G would return to service from 1971 to 1985 by the Majestic Mining Company. They used an Alco S2 locomotive to serve a mine at Wyden. It was once again reactivated in 1996 by the Elk River Railroad. A single-unit coal train would run between Dundon and Avoca, but operations ceased in 1999 as the coal quality was deemed to be too hard. Meanwhile, on the Quakertown and Eastern in 1970, William S. Young, a photographer, writer, and magazine publisher of railroad media, visited the Q&E. While there, he started referring to locomotive No. 4 as Old Slobberface, as moisture from the smokestack was constantly dripping down onto the smokebox. The name stuck as it was picked up by crew members. No. 4 pulled mainline excursions on the Lehigh Valley until 1970 when operations ceased, and the engine was stored out of service once more. In 1972, the Southwest Virginia Scenic Railroad of Hiltons, Virginia acquired No. 4 and used it up until 1975 when bankruptcy was declared due to low ridership. In 1978, the North Carolina Transportation Museum in Spencer purchased No. 4 along with all of the Southwest Virginia Scenic Railroad's equipment. No. 4 was given an overhaul to ensure smooth operations, but in doing that, the museum renumbered it to 604 and had it masquerade as a Southern Railway KS1. The overhaul was complete by 1986, and No. 4, or rather 604, ran excursions on the museum's trackage. It became quite the popular attraction. In 1995, to honor 30 years since the engine had last run on the BC&G, its appearance was modified to look as it did back on the BC&G. It was returned to its Southern Railway look soon after, and continued excursion service. 604's career would be halted in November 2001 though, as per new regulations by the Federal Railroad Administration. 604 was moved to the museum's shops to have its boiler flues replaced. But several more parts like the smoke box ended up needing replacing, and it was further disassembled. Its tender was put on static display in the meantime. Over a decade later, in 2014, 604's rebuild was cancelled in favor of the museum's higher priorities like rebuilding Norfolk and Western 611. It wouldn't be until May 2015 when number 604 would return to familiar territory. That year, the Durbin and Greenbrier Valley Railroad purchased the locomotive with the goal of restoring it to operational condition in its BC&G appearance. The disassembled locomotive would be moved into the shops at Cass, West Virginia, with the tender located nearby outside. Inspections revealed the running gear, frame, and tender are all in good condition. However, the firebox and both flue sheets in the boiler need replacement or repair to meet FRA standards. In February 2022, the D&G VR contracted out Sistersville Tank Works to construct a new welded boiler for number 4. Sistersville previously did boiler work for Scenic Railroad Heisler number 6. BC&G number 4's new boiler will cost $675,000. As of the making of this video, over $135,000 has been raised. But obviously, there's still more help needed. SteamThe4.com is a website where you can learn about the Buffalo Creek and Gauley number 4's history, the restoration goals, and the operational plans once the locomotive is whole again. It's also where you can donate towards the cause. If the goal is reached and a boiler is built, restoration on the engine is expected to take 2 to 3 months, and then the locomotive can run 16 miles with period passenger cars between Cass and Durbin, West Virginia. As some of you may know, I took a trip to Cass and Durbin in May of 2022. And I took interest in a tender that I thought was a Southern engine. Clearly I was wrong after I was told and learned of the storied past of its companion locomotive. I've donated $25 myself to BC&G number 4's boiler, but even if you're unable to donate, spreading awareness about number 4 would be greatly appreciated. There are some websites I'll link in the description if you're interested in learning about number 4, along with the donation site. Special thanks to Brooks Stover for his website dedicated to the BC&G and allowing use of the photographs on his site. Share this video and the websites in the description around. The more people to know, the better. In the end, the BC&G's trackage can still be seen today, and its roster also lives on with pieces of equipment preserved across the US. But with your help, an iconic piece of BC&G history can steam once again for all to see, and to keep the Buffalo Creek and Gauley Railroad and its memories known for years to come.